Everyone, this is James and Khaled, and we're so excited to be talking to you. The 2 week lull with the Super Bowl. Everybody, this is kind of when during the 2 week lull, this is kind of the chill out time, and then next week everything kind of goes crazy. So we're very excited to be talking about it, and there's a lot to talk about. How are you doing,
Yep,
Khaled?
I'm doing well. We had a couple of good games this weekend. Oh, I guess one good game this past weekend, and I'm ready to get into Super Bowl coverage. It's my favorite week of the year. Can't wait for the game.
First thing I wanted to ask you is, do you feel there's been a lot? I hate dome stadiums. I know that's the thing because they want good weather and protect it.
Yep.
Do you have an issue with them playing in the snow? And hey, Florence, as always, the beautiful Florence, Carmela, my partner, giving us some love. But do you have a problem with outdoor games, especially when there's snow? And thank God they didn't play in New England
Yeah.
because the weather here was brutal.
Yeah, it was pretty bad down in Denver for the last, quarter and a half of the game. This is probably like the most Gen Z, not even millennial, but like my new age take that compared to the rest of my general philosophy on things. I'm usually pretty old school about football, but in this day and age, football is better indoors. Football is better on turf, or natural grass inside a dome stadium. I don't want weather to decide the winner of a game. And anyone that will look you in the face and say they enjoyed the second half of that Broncos Patriots game is a stone cold liar because that was horrendous. No one could do anything. No one had any footing. You couldn't throw the ball more than 10 yards without it getting picked off. I think both teams combined for like 200 total yards on offense. It was a total snooze fest. And it's just better indoors. I mean, look at the college football playoff. Those games are all indoors, either in Atlanta or New Orleans or whatever, one of these dome stadiums. And the games are amazing. They're fast paced, they're hard hitting, they're competitive. Back in the day when it was 3 yards in a cloud of dust, like sure, we can play in the snow and in the cold. But these days, I want to see good weather and I want to see a domed stadium where I want the best team to win, not the team that can handle the cold better.
I'm a Californian, so we don't have bad weather. So it's like our weather's usually pretty good.
Yeah.
And I remember Florence and I were out in San Francisco. We were doing the little tourism thing for her, and I asked her. I said, "How hot do you think it is right now?" And it was 104. She was, "Oh, in the
Oh.
80s or 90s," and it's a different animal there. So
Yeah.
I'm very biased. I think the Super Bowl will have good weather, and I think it's going to be a fun game. But I don't mind a little bit of snow. I think if it goes crazy though, and first thing we have to talk about, which is literally being talked about in mainstream media, was the Bill Belichick snub of
Yeah.
not getting in first ballot. And I know exactly why he didn't get voted in.
Oh yeah.
And what is your take on all this?
I think ultimately it doesn't really matter. I
Mm-hmm.
think, in 10, 20 years, whatever, 50 years down the line, no one's going to care whether he was a first ballot Hall of Famer or not. I don't think anyone looks at the resumes. Like, it doesn't usually say if you go on the Hall of Fame website or if you go to Canton, which I've been to the Hall of Fame, it doesn't say this guy was a first ballot Hall of Famer. It just says you're a
Yeah.
Hall of Famer. So, all that to be said, I mean, if there was any coach that deserved to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, it was Bill Belichick, right? He's won more division titles than anyone else. He's won more Super Bowls than anyone else. Just his resume is insane. But it also goes to show you that some of these writers can hold a grudge because Belichick was not the friendliest person when it came to the media. And it also shows that maybe, Spygate did leave deeper scars than we think. I mean, people don't like cheaters, especially cheaters that win a lot. So I think it was like a small bit of revenge for some of these voters to be like, okay, obviously you're going to get in. You're the best coach of all time. You have the most accolades, whatever. But maybe you can wait a year or two and just let it sit for a little bit. Let it give you a little more sting when it comes to Spygate. But I think ultimately it doesn't really matter. He's going to get in, so it's
Oh
not a big
yeah,
deal
he'll
to me.
get in. I
Yeah,
think that's purely because the way he treated the media. He was disrespectful. He
yeah,
looked down on them. You'd ask him these deep questions, and he'd say yes. He'd have one word answers.
Hmm.
And he was that way at Cleveland too before he coached New England, and he got run out of town, and no one complained at that time because he was really brutal at that time.
Yeah,
He had the Gordon Ramsay syndrome a little bit, but I think this is payback for.
absolutely.
Is it is it true? Is it right? No, but they do have, the most famous case of a snub is, as I've talked about, and a lot of you have complained I didn't put the video on. I am going to put the article into a video next weekend, I promise, and I'm going to put it out. It's Ken Stabler.
Hmm.
Ken Stabler, obvious Hall of Famer, voted the best quarterback in the best era in the 70s, just
Hmm.
an icon. And he didn't make the Hall of Fame till he died, and the reason was because his problem with the North Bay writer, and I forget his name offhand, but when he went and did kind of a hit piece on Ken, and I'll give you a little bit of the spice before I put it out, but one of Ken's friends planted cocaine on him and called the cops.
Oh,
Now, Ken didn't know this, but he got arrested, and he literally was in fear of his life, he said. Now, he's a little bit dramatic. He's still alive. He still writes, but he said he still writes in the North Bay.
hmm,
But he said that I was in fear of my life. And the police even said, we're escorting you out of town. So you're leaving. And
wow.
he had to leave. So he told Paul Zimmerman, and anyone that knows Paul Zimmerman was the draft guru before Mel Kiper Jr.
Yeah,
He
iconic Sports
was,
Illustrated writer, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
in the '80s. I've been a draft proponent for years, and I love the draft, and I also always used to watch it. And Dr. Z, I think they called him.
Hmm.
He said in interviews, the only one I ever went after and literally tried to not get into the Hall of Fame was Ken Stabler.
Mm.
And for a writer to say that, because he said he felt Ken Stabler was involved in all this, and he was trying to intimidate writers and all that. I don't know why. The East Coast and West Coast hated each other also at that time because most of the media was based in the East Coast,
Hmm.
and they were in bed while the West Coast was playing. In fact, with some of the games, but it was, to have a writer literally say, I don't care how good someone is. And he was such an icon with the writers that all of them did what he wanted, because they didn't
Yeah,
want to
yeah. They followed
catch
his
his
tune. Yeah.
ire. So it is kind of sucks that this happened. But again, you don't have to be a pill. You don't have to be nasty. You don't have to be a jerk. I know that's his shtick, but he paid for it, and he supposedly is upset about it. But hey,
Yeah.
it is what it is. But
There's enough
that's why.
skeletons. Yeah, there's enough skeletons in that closet that it might give you pause to be like, okay, maybe Spygate. There's a little more to it. There's the whole Aaron Hernandez situation where he did not, exactly handle that very well. Where there was situations where he could have traded Aaron. We don't know how much he actually knew about what was happening. There's just a lot there, and usually when there's smoke, there's fire, that type of thing. So, but yeah, he'll get in. It's not.
Oh
It's
yeah,
not a
I
big
think.
deal.
Imagine, as one guy said, I saw an article. He said, imagine going to work every day and literally dreading
Mm,
doing your job. And that's how a lot of the writers felt because they knew he was going to treat them horribly.
yeah.
And that's not, imagine doing that for 10, 15, 20 years. That's
And yeah, and
brutal.
there's so many fans that like will look down on media too, and be like, "Oh, they deserve to get treated like that by Bill Belichick."
Hmm.
Blah blah. But it's like they're the ones that give you the content that you consume on a daily basis, right? Like who's writing the articles, who's writing the tweets about your trades and the game day analysis and things like that. And I mean, media plays such a big part in the success of the NFL and in the money that these guys are making that it doesn't make sense to me that they're looked down on by some of these coaches, some of these NFL guys, and of course by the fans who are like, yeah, they deserve to get treated like shit. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me.
and they're entertainers. You think Stephen A. Smith half the time is so full of crap, it's ridiculous, but he's an entertainer. He's wrong all the time.
I wouldn't
You know,
even put him in like the journalist category.
yeah, I mean Jim
He's
Rome.
yeah.
I mean, I knew someone who worked with Jim Rome. All that stuff was written for him.
Hmm.
He's not some rapper from New York. I mean, he's a little bit too much shtick. I'm not a big Jim Rome guy, but
Yeah.
all these guys, they're entertainers, and that's why it's so funny when people take them so seriously. And people have become so sensitive to the players. If I like a player, he's perfect, and
Hmm.
anyone saying bad things about him I hate.
Yeah,
It's
you
just
have an agenda all of a
it's
sudden.
a
It's like,
fanboy type
yeah.
thing, which I don't get. If a player's good, and speaking of good, Jason Stidham threw for 155 yards, and other than that interception, he
Hmm.
played fairly well for Denver, and Denver's defense is really good. So that was, you got to give props to him. A lot of people thought this was going to be an easy win, and I was kind
Yeah.
of in that camp. You got to give it up for him.
Yeah, I figured. I mean, you remember last week I told you I thought it was going to be close. For the reasons, Sean Payton is a good coach. He did make a terrible decision, which everyone lambasted him for all week long. Decision not to go up 10 points early in the game, but Stidham had one really bad play in the snow, which is like I don't fault him for that. I don't He shouldn't have been put in that situation, but he had that one turnover where it was like, is it a backwards pass? Is it not? It
Yeah.
looked like he shoveled it forward, so it was kind of a harsh call. But aside from that, he played better than I think a lot of folks expected, and they had a shot to win that game. Weather
Kicker,
aside, yeah, both
Lutz, I
kickers
mean,
missed a couple kicks.
yeah.
It was, if Sean Payton takes those points, he goes up 10-0. It's one of my, like, the drums that I beat on Twitter all the time is, hashtag take the damn points. And he should have done that. Would have gone up 10-0 on a young quarterback, a young team. You're at home, you let your defense tee off and do all that. So I think he was put in a position to succeed, and for the most part, he played pretty well. He just had a couple of those plays here and there where Bo Nix probably would have made the difference, especially in the snow, because Bo Nix
Yeah.
would have been running all over the place in
See,
that bad
Sean
weather.
played like he was in a dome. He's we could do it. We could do it.
He played like he didn't have his backup quarterback. That decision didn't make sense at the time, and the longer you look at it, it's what drives me crazy about those scenarios, James, is like it's 4th and 1 from like the 6, right? It's not like it's 4th and 1 from the half-yard line where if you get in, you score, because you could get that 4th down and 3 plays later you still have to kick anyway. Which happened to the Patriots, a couple of drives later, where they went for it on 4th and short, they got it, and then they ended up kicking the field goal. It's like, just take the points in a game like this with the defense that you have, with the backup quarterback in the playoffs. It's a maddening decision that he made right there.
Really got greedy. What did Woody Hayes always say? He said, "You go for the points when it's bad weather, when it's cold." He said, "You don't get crazy. You don't get."
Yeah.
And I think this obsession with coaches going for it on 4th down is, I don't care what the analytics says. Sometimes you got to use instinct and you got to use your heads. And when someone's giving you 3 points in a snow game, you take them.
They
And
knew
that
the snow was coming too.
Yep.
Everyone has the same forecast, so it didn't make sense to me.
Denver's miserable. I hate that weather. I just I don't like cold in any way. I don't even like opening the freezer. So I hate cold. My brother one time played Pop Warner football, and he was very good offensive lineman. And they had a playoff game in Tahoe, and I believe it was 6 degrees and snowing. Whoever got the idea of doing a playoff game in December, I mean, what an idiot.
Terrible.
And the
Terrible.
game was 0-0. His team went for the winning field goal. It was blocked and run back for a touchdown in the last play, and they lost. So 6-0. But anyway, I don't envy anyone playing in that. But, and then you had the quote of the year. I thought it was so funny. I stole it and I put it on Facebook. You name the quote. I'm not going to steal your thunder on
Which one?
Drake May.
You need to remind me.
The Drake May quote. You said, I I read your stuff more than but you said imagine being in the group in school and not doing anything but
Oh,
getting an A.
this yeah, when you don't do anything on the group project, you still get an A. Like the tweets have been hilarious comparing this run from him. They're like, the Patriots offense in the playoffs has been as bad as the Jets offense all year long.
Oh yeah,
They're like, this
horrible.
guy, he's playing worse than Trent Dilfer did in that run, 20 years ago with the Ravens. It was just I always say wins are not a quarterback stat. And obviously, quarterbacks play a huge role in winning games. They play probably an outsized role compared to, the only thing you compare it to is like a starting pitcher or something. But there are so many examples in the playoffs of guys being carried, whether it's Ben Roethlisberger in his first Super Bowl, Trent Dilfer, Jimmy Garoppolo getting to the Super Bowl with the Niners. There was one game in that run where he threw 8 passes against the Packers. So Drake May is not quite that level, but he has not played well. People want to say, oh, they've played tough defenses, all these top 5 defenses, all that. Yeah, sure. But when the other quarterback is handing you the ball, turning the ball over 4 times a game makes things a little bit easier. So it's not to say he won't have a good Super Bowl. I have faith in the kid. I like him a
10 for
lot, but
10 for
yeah,
21 for 86 yards.
before
10
the
for
snow too. And
yeah.
it didn't start snowing till halfway through the third. So what's your excuse? But I know Denver's a good defense, but you
And
know,
he struggles. He did it in college. If you give him time, he will slice and dice you. If
mhm.
you get in his face, he struggles.
He's a
And
good athlete too. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I think Seattle's licking their chops at this point.
when they were yelling MVP after the game with him, I'm like, "Are you what?"
I
But it
mean, he made
reminds
he
me,
made the one game-winning play on that scramble, but
yeah, the
I
run,
mean, yeah, it's like any quarterback with half decent
yeah.
athleticism. And again, it's in the snow. Like there's no footing. All that's there's defenders can't catch you. Yeah,
But New England, it's in New England. Anything in Boston and New York, you're gonna get pounded with their because quarterback always gets all the credit.
always.
Let's give it up for the Patriots defense. Oh my
Oh,
God, just what great play! They have every game they have a key turnover that leads to a score or they do score
hmm
on defense, and that's I said before the game, I said Denver can't turn it over. If
yeah,
they turn it over, they are going to lose because there's no. That's how they do it. Short fields, defense scores. They've got to keep, or at least have turnovers in the other end of the field where they don't give them a short field.
yeah, and that's exactly what
Because
happened with that Stidham fumble. It was like on
yep,
the 10-yard line or something. So it's just,
you give them short fields, you're screwed. And their offensive line is really good, but Denver played well. So,
yeah,
but I didn't like all the gloating on their offense after the game. It was kind of funny. Some on the offensive line said, "Oh, the great Denver defense. Yeah, what did they do?" And I'm thinking, well, they held you to 10 points, and you
yeah,
only
10
got
points on one on a short, and then we got one touchdown on a short field from
short
eight
field,
yards
10 yard
out. Yeah,
field. So
yeah,
don't be gloating. But yeah, but and then crazy game and. Man of the year, Sam Darnold, there wasn't a soul that gave him a chance. And God bless him. He's proven a lot of people wrong, and he may win a
yeah.
Super Bowl. And that's something I didn't see in the cupboard. That's a great game, though.
Incredible game, and it was so funny. It was just like people made a lot of jokes about, oh, we watched the JV game earlier. Now we're watching varsity, and it really felt like that. And for all the people that were lying to you about enjoying the snow game and the 10-7 score, we got an absolute barn burner in the next game. It was so exciting, so much back and forth. It was high scoring, but also great defense and hard hitting and physical, all the stuff like you love to see in football. In a game that was like decided in the last 5 minutes. Uh, I was kind of hoping that the Rams would score on that last drive, so it would, go back to Seattle and Darnold would have to put together, a 2-3 minute drill to win the game. But he basically still did that. They didn't score on that last drive, but he made some key throws, and he was locked in. He played a almost perfect game. Didn't turn the ball over, and Stafford also played a perfect game on the other side. It was just like the one thing that decided the game was that turnover, was that guy slipping on the punt return. And I was telling my friends during the game that football can be so stupid sometimes. You could have two teams play excellent high level football for 59 minutes and 59 seconds, and one guy, it's a no name guy on the roster. He's like the sixth receiver. He's a backup rookie, whatever he is. He just makes one silly mistake, and that basically swings the game. But it
Rams
was
had their
game of the
chance,
year.
though.
Yeah,
Rams
they
had their
did.
chance. So you got to give it up to Seattle. They stopped them when they needed to.
Yeah,
Uh, I per I struggle sometimes with the way football's played now because it's so much easier to pass the ball,
yeah.
and every fan on Twitter wants interference on every play. I mean, it's just look at this angle and look at that, and you're just like, oh my gosh, you can't have a penalty on every play.
It's
But
no fun.
yeah, but that's the only thing I kind of don't like about today's game. I love the defenses. I love hard hitting physical play. That's why I like
That's
the
Seattle.
Patriots defense.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good game. I think Seattle's going to win. I think they'll win by 7 to 10 points, and they just seem to be kind of on that roll
Oh
that
yeah.
that just and if they can get the offensive line is going to have to protect May because if they get to him, this could be ugly.
And then that's
Because
what Seattle does, I think, better than anybody. Maybe
yeah,
Denver, probably a better pass rushing team, but they can rush the quarterback with four guys, and they can make your life a living hell. And I know I was seeing some analysis basically saying, oh, Mike Vrabel and Josh McDaniels, they've been there before. They know how to prepare for the Super Bowl. That'll make the difference. But all the coaching in the world, it's the players that matter. And you have a young team in the Patriots. You had a young quarterback. It's not like Sam Darnold's been there before, but he's seen it all, done it all, right? He's been in the league for a long time. And I think he finally he got that monkey off his back of winning a big game. And I think he'll go into this game feeling very, very confident. And like you said, they're on a roll right now.
yeah, they're really playing well. So I think they're going to win, but who knows? Super Bowl's always crazy.
Yeah.
What do you think? I don't think you're a big gambler, but what do you think about all these crazy prop bets that they all have? Well, I was watching some of the prop bets, and Florence and I talked about it earlier today. Like, what song is going to be sung at first song sung at
Yeah.
halftime? What's going to be a song that's left out? Things like that, or who's the first player that's going to score or punt? Who's going to be the first team to punt? And they got everything. They even
Everything.
have bets on the coin toss.
Yeah, the coin toss, the length of the national anthem, the color of the Gatorade, all this those extraneous things. I'm like, that feels really easy to rig.
It
Like if
is.
you're
Well, it's
if you're the singer, you keep an eye on the clock and be like, all right, let me cut this short. If it's the under is 90 seconds, let me put a big bet on that. It's fun. Like there was one time I hosted a Super Bowl party and I printed out a bunch of these sheets with the prop bets and I handed them out, and everyone had to guess and turn it in before the game. And then the winner, it was like $5 buy-in or something, and the winner got the pot. So it can make the Super Bowl a little more interesting, especially if it's a snoozer. I think I did this for Broncos Panthers, so it was not a great game, but it had people invested because they were following the prop bets. But all that stuff, I'm like, you could just rig it if you're Bad Bunny, you know who the you know what people are betting on for the first song. Like,
tell
oh,
your friends.
yeah,
Yeah, you want to
exactly.
make a
Put a
couple
big bet on
bucks.
it.
But yeah, I just think it's so, and it's really meant for more fluff fans, more
Oh
fans
yeah,
that are, because a lot of people, they don't follow the NFL all that much until the Super Bowl. And it's a
yeah,
lot of fun for everyone to get involved, to have parties and get food and stuff. And I think it's mainly meant for them because, I would never. I used to be heavy into gambling and not addictive, but I mean, I used to be heavy into gambling, and I love to gamble a lot, and it was a lot of fun. And but I never did a prop bet. I did kind of the more conservative bets, and I didn't,
yeah.
you
The
know,
vanilla stuff, right?
yeah, but the regular stuff. But it's going to be fun. Now, when you're looking at the coaches, I was kind of shocked, and a lot of Bills fans were upset at the hiring.
Yeah,
Why would you fire the coach that kind of led you to all this and then hire the OC because you have a great quarterback that's good and he's
yeah.
he could probably play in most any offense. I did not get that.
I wasn't too surprised by it, honestly. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the Andy Reid era in Philadelphia, right? The guy gets to 4 NFC
Yeah.
championship games. He's a great coach, great offensive mind, but it feels like in any sport, right? If you keep like falling short of that ultimate goal, eventually guys will start tuning you out, right? Because you
Yeah.
don't have that credibility, right? If you're Mike Tomlin, you won a Super Bowl, you can coach for 20 years. John Harbaugh, same thing. Bill Belichick, whatever. Even if you just win one,
Yeah.
you have that credibility. If you're Sean McDermott, you failed. I mean, you're succeeding because you're getting to the AFC Championship game and stuff, but you're failing in not winning the Super Bowl, and eventually, people will start tuning you out, and you'll just need a change. But I think in Buffalo, I think they're a more conservative organization in general. So it felt like a safe hire. It felt like a hire that Josh Allen would like because I guess, he has a good relationship with Joe Brady. So I know people were kind of shocked, like, "Oh, this is kind of a vanilla move. Like, why would you fire McDermott just to promote his offensive coordinator?" But you just need a different voice in the room, and if that's a voice that's the OC that just all of a sudden gets moved into a bigger leadership role, I think it's enough of a change where you're not hearing the same speeches, you're not hearing the same motivational stuff. Things will have a different cadence, whether it's training camp or practice. So it's enough of a change where there's a little bit of a difference and it'll change things up, but it's not a radical change where you're starting completely from scratch.
Yeah, I still, to me, I don't get it because I think you can't say this regime was losing and everything. The OC was part of the regime.
Yeah,
Josh
it's
Allen
true.
struggled in the postseason at times. No one wanted to give him any of the blame, but he really did not play well. And he had
Yeah.
some bad turnovers and bad decisions. That fumble that cost three
Oh,
points
so
was
bad.
just, that was a high school move.
But
Uh,
if you think about it, right, like the main failures they've had have been defensive. So they're usually scoring enough points to win the game. The 13 seconds one is the famous, missed
yeah,
a blowed
the
opportunity that they
Chiefs.
had,
Yeah.
to the Chiefs. So and their defense was not great this year, and the offense is consistently good, mostly because of Josh Allen. So I think probably the one thing they want to do is like, let's keep Josh happy. Let's keep the same play caller. We don't want him to have to learn a whole new offense again because he's had to learn a couple different offenses because his OCs keep getting other jobs. So, I think that the main candidate that I was surprised they didn't go after was Brian Dable because he
Brian
was his
Dabble.
offense
Yeah.
coordinator and they had a
I
good
like him.
relationship. Yeah, I think he got a bad rap for how things ended in
He
New York. I
shouldn't have
think he did
gone
a
to New York.
yeah.
That was a cesspool. That was
Yeah,
just a
that's
horrible.
your I feel like you always go back to that. You're like, don't take a job in New York.
I
They're
told him,
too
yeah,
harsh.
look at what's his name from the 49ers. I mean,
Yeah,
I
Robert Saleh, yeah.
yeah, Sala, he's a good coach. I think the problem is New York. I've never seen a media that is like that. And when you
Yeah.
listen to them every day, it's so toxic. People talk about Philly.
Mhm.
Philly, I think, is more physically violent and crazy. But I think in toxicity, New York, there's no place like it.
Yeah.
I don't know
Fans,
why.
media, all that stuff, yeah.
If you win a championship like Joe Namath did years ago, you are king of the world.
Mhm.
But if you don't, oh my gosh, just a
Yeah.
horrible situation. But it will be interesting. What about some of the other places? There's still a lot of coaching jobs, a lot of
I
OC
know.
jobs, DC, and head coaching jobs. What are your kind of vibes in a couple of the places?
I mean, the one that came out today was, the Browns. They're hiring Todd Monken from, the Ravens. He's a little bit older. I think he's in his 60s. And it's like
Yeah,
anytime there's a guy that gets his first like head coaching job in his 60s, it almost feels like a desperation hire. And there was a lot of guys that kept pulling out of consideration for the Browns job. I just think it's not a very attractive situation there. The quarterback questions, the ownership questions, the whole Jim Schwartz thing, where like you have to keep Jim Schwartz, and he got mad today because he got passed up for the head coaching. So it's a very toxic situation. You look at Arizona, that one is still open. Same, they have questions at quarterback there, and just general leadership. I know that ownership group does not have a good reputation in general, so I don't think people are like rushing to take that job. And then, of course, the Raiders. It's still, out there. They're interviewing Davis Webb. They're interviewing Clint Kubiak. They're probably waiting for after the Super Bowl. So you're hoping that, especially as a Raiders fan, I'm hoping that this patient approach is going to pay off, and they don't end up, left at the altar kind of thing where they have to hire anybody. But I think Kubiak is like the favorite from what I'm
Yeah.
hearing, and he's like a hot young coordinator doing a great job in Seattle.
Not a
So
bad hire. Not a bad
no,
hire. I would
yeah,
like
I'd be
that.
happy with that. Yeah, and then maybe go get Jim Schwartz as your DC. That would be fun. He's a
Yeah.
good DC.
He's a
So
good
let's do it.
coach.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's a good coach. I think that, and there's some, a lot of people will say, oh, this guy, he sucks at head coach. Just because you're not a good head coach doesn't mean you're not a good coach.
oh yeah,
And look at Josh, what's his name, at New England.
yeah.
Uh,
I have a nickname for him, but I don't want to say it on.
he's oh, I don't like him.
No,
He's a punk, but he is a he's not a good head coach. He was a train wreck at Denver. I mean,
in
he was
Vegas too, of course. Yeah,
glory at Oklahoma at the Raiders compared to what he did at Denver. He
yeah.
was horrific, and he was the little darling of Belichick's era. He was supposed to be the guy that was going to get Super Bowls and all this stuff, kind of Lane Kiffin-ish,
Mm-hmm.
and he just I don't think he's a good leader. I think he
No,
treats people bad. I just don't get him. And
he's Lane
he's
Kiffin
not.
without the charisma
Yeah,
of that's
yeah.
what he is. Yeah,
And I don't like scumbags that kind of lie and stuff. And I didn't, maybe I'm wrong, but some of the things I read about him, he wasn't the most honest
yeah.
guy. So
Pulled
I
out of that
yeah,
the indie job. I think he accepted the job, then pulled out. It's like you
yeah,
don't want to see that. I think when it comes to head coaches, I think so much of it is just it's relationship management, man management, whatever you want to call it. And so many guys don't have that. When you're a coordinator, you don't really have to do that part. You just get to focus on the football. With the head coach, you're the CEO. You're massaging egos. You're keeping the locker room in check. You're leading the team. As a coordinator, again, you're just kind of calling plays and doing your thing. So some guys just don't have the personality for that.
yeah. If I'm the Raiders, the two main things I want this year is Mendoza. Again, I don't think he's a savior. I think he's going to be a really good pro for 5 or 10 years. And I want someone on the other side that can rush the passer.
Yeah,
Because if you remember when Kuntz was rushing the passer before he got injured, he and Crosby were just wreaking havoc at times.
yeah,
They were
dynamite combo.
great.
Yeah,
Yeah, great combo. So I think if the Raiders get that, the two most important positions to me, if I'm is quarterback, defensive line, and offensive line. Those are
hmm
the three places to
yeah,
me that are the keys because if you have a great defensive line, you could control the defense. You could
hmm
hide your
that's
DBs if
Seattle
they're
right
not
now.
that good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hmm
If you can get to the quarterback with four guys and you don't have to blitz, then that's cool. That's
hmm
great. So I think the draft is going to be very interesting because there's a lot of good players in it. They're just not in sexy positions. There
hmm
are some good wide receivers, but there's some good edge rushers, offensive linemen, defensive linemen. So it's
yeah,
kind of going
absolutely.
to be a drafter's draft. If you're into the draft, this is going to be a fun one for you.
Yeah,
If, if you're into big names,
yeah, not so much, but
Now, do you? One thing I wanted to talk about is what cracked me up is Mark Davis was talking about trying to make streaming, TV streaming, and other things in the NFL cheaper.
hmm
And I'm thinking to myself, okay, that's great. The Raiders are the most expensive place to go watch a football game. And he's talking about, oh, we got to make it more affordable. Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
he's the
Stop.
man of the people, right? He's the PF
Oh my.
Chang's guy. I think he upgraded his car, but for a long time he was driving like the Dodge Caravan or the
Yep. Dodge
the Mini
Caravan.
Cooper. Uh, with Vegas, it's just that's what it is, right? It's Vegas. Everything's expensive. You got to tip
Yeah.
your dealer. You got to tip your waiter. These days, you got to pay for parking. Used to be you could park for free at the casinos. Now you got to pay for that. So you're from the moment you step off the plane, it's like they hook up an IV to your bank account, and they're just withdrawing funds the whole time. So I think it's expected, right? If it's going to be a tourist destination, you're going to charge tourist prices for the game, for the concessions, for beer, whatever it is. So yeah, at least he's trying to make that part. He's for the fans. That's kind of cool. I don't mind that.
Yeah. Uh, and we got some of you guys have longer names than I do. Oh, I do like this name. Dead
It's a good one.
Zeppelin 4511 said, near Nashville here. Glad Dabble headed this way. Sala will need the head coaching experience help.
Yeah.
I think that's very well put. I like the hires they're doing over there. I like it. I like what they're doing,
Hmm.
and I think that they're a good drafting team too.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I think they're doing some nice things, and there's going to be good things going on there. Good one, Dead
Yeah,
Zeppelin.
I
Don't
saw a
forget.
report that Cam Ward, or sorry, the Giants really wanted Cam Ward last year, which means probably that Dable really liked Cam Ward, and they tried to give up a bunch of stuff to move up and get him, but didn't work out for them. But yeah, I think he's a good offensive mind. He, won a playoff game with Daniel Jones, which is a good achievement.
Oh
So
God, that's yeah.
I think I really like Robert Saleh. I mean, with the things that he did in San Francisco this year, he's a miracle worker considering some of the injuries
God,
they
three
had.
of
So
your top defenders, three of your top
yeah,
best players, other than McAfee, you're done, and
yeah.
and and are out for the year. And then Kittles gets hurt, so I'm just like that. I don't like the 49ers. I grew up in the Bay Area, old school Oakland Raider fan, so I hate them. But I'm
I'll give
respect,
him credit. Yeah,
totally
for sure.
respect. That's all it is. You guys, 49ers guys, bang bang. What's that Niner gang?
Bang
Oh,
bang Niner gang. It's
oh
terrible.
my gosh, don't do that. Stop doing that. But I think also what's going to be interesting about all this, especially with the Raiders, because Mark Davis has said he's going to give Tom Brady more power, and he wants him more involved with the with the football side of it. And
Hmm.
what's funny is what came out is Tom Brady wanted the coaching staff that was here.
Yeah.
And that's Chip Kelly, when he was fired, Tom Brady supposedly was very upset.
Hmm.
So it's kind of funny that the coaches that he wanted, they got,
Yep.
didn't
And the
work out.
quarterback.
Then they got, and quarterback.
Yeah.
And well, it was like, what's his name? When they could have had Tom Brady, they kept Carr, and Tom Brady still just laughed at that. He said, "Why in the world would they not want me? I still had time left. I wanted to come here, and they just didn't want me. They wanted Carr instead." And so it's interesting when teams make decisions. It they're huge because you got to pick the right quarterback, got to pick the
Yeah.
right coach,
Hmm.
and you got to have the right GM. And is he the guy, Tom Brady, that's really going to do all that? What
Yeah.
makes him a great, CEO or whatever the heck he's going to be, president or whatever?
The
What makes
concern is
him the guy who can do it?
he's the GOAT. That's really the only qualification he's got, right? I mean, the guy knows winning better than anybody in the NFL. The concern I have is that it seems like this is a part-time job for him.
Yep,
Between the TV stuff, between the other ventures he's
supermodels.
got. Yeah,
Yep.
he's got his own brand. He's doing that flag football thing in Saudi Arabia. So this is far from the only thing on his plate, right? You look like in contrast, the Falcons hired Matt Ryan as like their president of football operations, and
Yeah.
that's all he's doing. He's not doing TV anymore. Matt Ryan doesn't have his own brand. He's not out there, hobnobbing with government officials, that kind of thing. So that's my concern is like how much time can Brady really realistically dedicate to this? And if he's the one that's ultimately making the decisions, it's like I'm concerned about that. If it was just John Spytek, you're like, okay, that guy's the GM. We're not 100% sold on him yet, but you hand him the keys and you let him figure it out. And that's his only job. That's what he's going to do, 50, 60 hours a week, right? But if it's Brady, he's flying around, he's taking production meetings, he's doing this, he's doing that. It's like, how much time is he going to be spending like grinding tape on prospects?
Yeah.
Or doing draft evaluations and things like that. So that's my main concern. And ex players don't always have the best track record when it comes to being GMs. For every John Lynch, there's a Matt Millen,
Yeah.
or a Michael Jordan, or if you want to go cross sports. So
Now here's a
it
question.
sure.
This is a TMZ type question. So this one's for Florence. There was a post, and gosh, AI is creating all these things where Mark Davis with one of his girlfriends, and she was pregnant. Now it
Okay.
was obviously fake.
Yeah.
She's not pregnant. There is no heir to Mark Davis. His mom passed away.
Yeah.
There's a group that runs the Raiders. They
Mm-hmm.
would take over. But if he has a kid, doesn't that kid take over the Raiders?
Yeah. I
And
mean,
his
just like,
wife and or girl, side chick, whatever she is,
yeah.
isn't that a crazy thought? That you immediately, if you're a young girl and you see someone like that, it's a crazy thought. But isn't that crazy?
Jay-Z had a famous line. He said, "There's no such thing as an ugly billionaire."
Yeah.
And that's really it. So if there's some girl out there that likes Mark Davis, go ahead and tie the knot, have a kid, and then your son will run the or daughter will run the Raiders for the next 50 years or whatever. But it's crazy, right? That these teams are treated like kingdoms, right? It's like, oh, you've got the king of the Baltimore Ravens, and he had a firstborn heir, and this son or daughter is gonna end up ruling the kingdom. It's very strange. It's not treated like any other company, right? Like the
And then
CEO of Apple, it doesn't, their firstborn son or firstborn daughter doesn't take over the company when they die. So it's a
and
very
then
weird thing.
and then look at Stephon Diggs and Cardi B. Now, I watch a lot of hip hop,
Sure.
things, and they have some underground things sometimes. He supposedly in this last year got 4 women pregnant.
I
One
think
in
him
an
and Tyreek
abortion.
Hill. I think him and
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill are
Oh,
competing.
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
The worst was Adrian Peterson. Remember when he didn't know his kid and when he first found out about his kid was abused
Oh
and
yeah.
died.
That was terrible. Yeah.
Died. I mean, I don't know.
Some of these guys are prolific. Do you remember Antonio
Oh,
Cromartie? I think he has
oh,
like, people make
7
fun of.
kids
Yeah,
from
people make fun
7
of
women.
Philip Rivers for having 7 kids, but at least it's from the same lady. It's from his
And
wife.
he's
But
married, yeah.
yeah,
So I
exactly.
mean, but Stephon Diggs supposedly had 4, and one girl's even had proof that he had asked her to get abortion. And Cardi B is acting like she's Taylor Swift, and Stephon Diggs is Travis Kelsey. It cracks me up.
It's very strange.
Cardi B hasn't rapped without lip syncing for 15 years. So I mean, just the worst rapper. And
It's
it
such a
it
weird combo seeing like the Patriots that are supposed to be like this buttoned up organization, and then you've got you know Cardi B on the sidelines or Cardi B hanging out in the suite with Bob Kraft and his kids. It's a very strange
hardcore right
optics.
winger Bob Kraft, and then you have Cardi B dressing like 1980s Whitney Houston. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, you got to give me a break. The NFL, there's nothing
Oh,
like it.
it's a
But
soap opera.
but Cromartie, I remember they did an interview with him, and he said he thought he had 7 kids, and with I think 6 women in 4
Hmm.
states, something like he was 27.
Yeah, and he forgot their names. I think he
Yeah,
was trying to name them, and there was one kid he got tripped up. I don't understand if you're a multimillionaire athlete and you want to go out and do your thing, more power to you. But why not just get a vasectomy? They're not that expensive.
or
They're
use a
reversible.
condom.
I'm
God.
I'm saying if you don't want to do that, if you want to, maybe you get caught unprepared for the situation, but why don't just get a vasectomy? They're reversible, and you
Yeah,
don't
get
have
the
to deal with
tied.
this.
Don't get the cut. Get the tied vasectomy so they
Yeah,
could redo it at
it's
another time. You got the money.
99.9% effective from what I hear. So
I mean,
I'll never understand that.
acting like a 15, 16-year-old with unprotected sex, and we all know they're all virgins, so no one has STDs. I mean, come
Oh, no,
on.
no, no. No
Oh,
such
it's
thing.
crazy. But when I saw her acting like she was Taylor Swift and there was some magical couple. How do you handle him having kids from all these women at the same time?
I mean, I think she was still married when they got together, so I don't think that bothers her all that much. It's
Well, remember
very
Tom
strange.
Brady. People will forget Bridget Moynihan and
Yeah.
how a year or
Yeah, I
nine
think
months to a
he
year?
stepped out on her when I don't think they were married, but he
Yeah,
had a kid with her, but it was a whole messy thing. I think he's since learned to keep himself out of the tabloids. He couldn't help it with the whole Giselle thing and
yeah,
her jujitsu or judo trainer, whatever. But for the most part, he stayed out of the tabloids for the last,
crazy.
10, 15, 20 years. So
Crazy. Now, what's your go-to snack for Super Bowl? What is the thing you have to have?
Chicken wings. I'm a chicken wings guy. It's not a very heavy food, right? If you get pizza, sometimes you could overdo it on the pizza and your stomach's not settled for the game. But you know, nice plate of wings, you can kind of work your way through it through the game. So if I don't have wings, then that's it's not a real Super Bowl party.
Yeah, mine's I love salsa, good hot salsa with some
Oh yeah.
chips. I gotta have that. But what's your prediction?
I think it's going to be Seattle, like relatively comfortable. I think it'll be tight in the first half, but I think Seattle's just their defense is so good that that defensive line, really every level of that defense is incredible, and I think that's going to make the difference. And I think Seattle's offense is just good enough at this point. Like even if Sam Darnold makes a couple mistakes against it's a decent Patriots defense. They don't have a great pass rush, so that's why I was so surprised about how bad C.J. Stroud played uh, against them. So I think it's going to be Seattle, like pretty comfortable, like at least 10 points.
I think you have the Loves and the CJ Strouds. They're good quarterbacks and at times really good, but
Hmm.
I don't see them as elite quarterbacks. I think they're,
No,
I
no, not
think
at
they're
all.
they're talented that you could win with them, but I don't see them hoisting trophies.
No, no.
Uh,
Unless like it'll take like a Drake May Patriots type situation where you have a magical run or you have a number one type defense. Like, I mean, the Broncos could have easily been in the Super Bowl if Bo Nix didn't break his ankle, even though he hasn't played all that well either. So yeah, they're like outside the top eight for me, easy comfortably.
Yeah, Bo Nix, I'm not a huge fan of, but he can run the ball,
Yeah,
and I think that and he's an okay passer, but he could really run the ball, and I think that would have really helped in the snow with
absolutely.
the lack of passing. So
That's how the
I
Patriots won the game. They just kept
yeah
dropping back, and Drake May would take off because there was no pass rush. You can't get any footing. You can't
yeah
plant your feet and push a 300-pound human being in front of you out of the way to get to the quarterback. So, yeah, he would
reminds
have
me
made a
of
huge
m-
difference.
reminds me of the Raiders Steelers game. I was watching a rerun of it on YouTube, and literally the field had about 2 inches of ice.
It's
And
probably when they were still playing on the turf, right? On the
yeah, and
Astro
you would
turf.
run, and and supposedly their sprinkler system broke. So, and Al Davis went to Pete Rozelle and said, "What in the heck is going on?" He goes, "Al, it's the same for both teams." And he goes, "No, it ain't. They don't have Cliff Branch." So, and
Yep.
Mel Blunt, that was the one player Mel Blunt struggled so much for us with Cliff Branch, but there was one play where Clip Branch was just running and he just slid and he fell backwards on his butt.
Jeez.
It was just unbelievable on that. But I think it's going to be a fun game. I like it. I like probably I don't know 26-14 or 26-17 Seattle. I think that they're the better team, but you never know.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting game. It'll be a fun game. I think it's nice to have different teams into. I do
Oh, for
miss the
sure.
dynasties, but the salary cap has changed all that. You're going to have different teams in, and Patrick Mahomes looks miserable. I saw an interview with him. He looks miserable.
I've heard his recovery is going well.
Yeah,
They said that it
God
wasn't
does he
like
work hard.
yeah, yeah. So he might be back sooner than you think. But I think we've talked about this. Like I'm really curious to see how they approach the off season and how they're gonna, if they're gonna try to get a veteran in there or do what. But yeah, I'm intrigued.
Now, this is the quote of the night. Derpy 501 ST2, I'm with you. That is the best bowl. I never miss it. His quote is, "So, who's excited for the Puppy Bowl? I sure am excited for the Super Bowl with the halftime show controversy and the Patriots being in it again." He's all for the Puppy Bowl, and I am with you. I never miss the Puppy Bowl. If you get a chance to watch it, please do so because
It's a great
they
time. Yeah.
really do a great opportunity to get some good pets. If I was president, the first thing I would do is make no kill shelters.
Mm.
I don't want pets being good, healthy animals being killed. That's just ridiculous. But I think it's a great thing, and I'm with you, Derpy. I love the Puppy Bowl. My mom, who's not a football that big a football fan, we would watch the Puppy Bowl, but they get
Yeah.
homes for a lot of great animals, and they do a lot, and I really like that. And it's cute, it's fun. Your kids get them to watch it. It's amazing. But are you a Puppy Bowl guy? You don't seem like a big Puppy
I'm
Bowl
not.
guy.
I'm not a big animal person in general. I mean, my family had cats growing up. My sister's a certified dog trainer, so it's like in our family, but I'm not a huge dog or cat person in general. I'm excited for the halftime show. I like Bad Bunny. I think he puts on a great show. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. We're gonna have some surprise guests. So I'm excited for that. He's in my Spotify rotation. Very high energy music. I don't understand a lot of it. I speak a little bit of Spanish, but Puerto Rican Spanish is a whole different ball game than Mexican Spanish. So, but yeah, he puts on a great show. I'm excited for that. I think it'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm not a big Bad Bunny guy. In fact, I didn't know that that was a person when I first heard it. So definitely not in my. I'm more of a Tupac,
Sure. Yeah.
Rakim, those guys. But
He's different.
yes.
I'm excited to see, people expand their musical palettes a little bit. I think he's one of the biggest artists in the world, just, maybe not in America as much, maybe mostly in the Spanish speaking world, but if you check it out, he's very high energy, got a lot, lot going on, a lot of big hits. Like I said, I'm sure he'll have some surprises. I think he came out when it was he was a surprise guest for the Shakira J-Lo Super Bowl a few years
Mm-hmm.
back. So,
Yep.
yeah, he's a hell of a performer. He does WWE. He acts like he's a really versatile guy. So I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I'll give him a shot.
Yeah,
I'll give
he
him a
should
chance. But
have the Puppy Bowl like on a second screen type thing.
gotta
And
have
then,
Puppy Bowl on. Gotta have the. You got. I love the Jack Russells. So when they're on, you got to
oh
watch
yeah,
them.
there you go.
They love the open field. But yeah, I think it's going to be fun, and I hope everybody. We have been. Florence and I are dying because it doesn't look like we're going to be able to go. We've been invited to 4 different things, and 2 of them by the NFL. So we thank everyone. We are blessed. I can't believe little church mice like us are getting it. So what we're doing is we're working out things that we're trying to get Khaled to be there instead of us, and we're going to do some lives. So we're really looking forward to that. We're just working with the restaurants, working with them, just make sure this is okay, because and so you can't bite the hand that feeds you, and so we want to do everything they want us to do, but we are blessed by all the things that we're doing, and we're blessed by you. We're Florence and I are going to be doing lives every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Khaled and I will be doing our show 5 o'clock Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific every Wednesday, and then tomorrow night we have author Jael Rothstein, our friend, and on 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern, and we are going to be doing our pop culture true crime show, and then we're going to answer all the questions for all you authors and podcasters about marketing, about different things that you need to do, any questions. So make sure you get those questions. I only got about 4 or 5 questions in, so make your doing. And Khaled, you got your podcast going. Where can people find you?
You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/4040 Vision Sports. That's our main hub. But you can also find the 4040 Vision podcast on Spotify, on Apple, all those platforms. And of course, you can find us on all the major social media platforms, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff, at 4040 Vision Sports.
Yep. And then what you they could find you on Twitter at Khaled74.
That's right.
And
That's right.
for Florence and I'm at Real James Pat on Instagram and on Twitter. And thank you to all the people on TikTok. Find us at the Form Celebrity Podcast on TikTok. We're almost at 30,000 followers, so we're very appreciative of that. And thank you all for the Instagram. Florence is Florence underscore Carmel, I believe, at Instagram. And then obviously at on Twitter, she's Florence Carmela. So make sure that you check her out. She does amazing work for us. She's the absolute awesome person, And everyone, while you get sick of me, you'll love her. So make sure you listen to our shows and watch our shows. Thank you all. You guys send some amazing messages. I've gotten some great feedback, and I've gotten to know some of you. Please give me a message, some things you'd like us to talk about. We always support each other. If you have a podcast or you have something going, let's get a little bit of a friendship. Let's share each other's work. We're all about spreading the love, and there's enough people out there to watch all of our shows, so let's support each other. Khaled, you have a great day. As always, you're on spot. We so appreciate you, Florence and I, and we hope that this stuff we'll know in the next couple of days. We'll announce it on Twitter and Instagram, and we hope everything will work out, because I would love to do a couple lives from the Super Bowl. That would be great.
Awesome.
Yep. So take
Thanks,
care,
James.
everyone. Hope you
Thanks,
have a
everybody.
safe night, and let's keep the peace out there in the streets. Take care.